Okay, so Janet, when did you first start noticing you had a hearing problem?
I've had a hearing problem ever since I was at primary school. That's when it was first noticed. And they just kept an eye on me. I used to go to a clinic and have hearing tests, which I absolutely hated, because I could always hear my heart beating in the...
In the sound booth?
Yes, that's right, rather than actually hearing the noises. And as a child, I think that's always quite frightening. So eventually I got to my teenage years and just said to my mum, look, I don't want to do this anymore. So we gave up on it. And then I noticed a steady loss of hearing. And a friend came to stay once and she said, has your hearing got worse? And I said, funny you should say that. We were only talking about it last week.
Yeah.
And it was at that time that I decided I really ought to do something about it. So I tried some hearing aids. My father-in-law had just had some, but I absolutely hated the company. And then I came across you, and everything changed. And I think we've probably known each other for the last 13 years.
It is 13 years.
And it's just been fabulous. You know, I decided at that time that hearing aids were the things that I needed, and you set me down the right path, and I haven't looked back. It's just been the best thing that I ever did.
You know, you mentioned earlier about how you're quite happy to tell people about firstly that you do have a hearing loss, and that it's quite important. We're trying to tell people that they shouldn't be afraid and embarrassed about wearing hearing aids.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of stigma, unfortunately, still attached to hearing loss, and that the majority of people, although they probably wouldn't admit it, think that if they're talking to somebody that has a hearing loss, that they're stupid. But to me, hearing loss is no different to sight loss. There are millions of people that wear glasses, and as far as I'm concerned, a hearing loss is exactly the same thing. And why shouldn't we be proud to wear hearing aids? I certainly am, and I'd like to encourage more and more people at a younger stage to start wearing hearing aids. The problem as you get older is the worse your hearing loss is. When you do start wearing them, you hate the new sounds that you hear, and it takes far longer to adjust to them. I can always remember I walked into our accounts department when I first had them, and all I could hear were the fans on all of the computers, and it was horrible. And I went home and I said, if this is what it is, I don't want them. Within a week I was used to it. And you get selective hearing in the same way that normal, natural hearing,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you basically, the brain adapts to the sounds. Initially, you sort of find it's all overwhelming and overpowering, but then gradually the brain adapts, and you learn.
It does.
Because the brain learns what it wants to listen to, what it needs to listen to, ultimately, and then you know, you just get used to it.
That's
and,
right.
You pick out the sounds that you need to hear.
And conversations, you know, being in a room full of people, you used to lose out, I used to lose out so much on actually having a conversation because I couldn't really hear what people were saying. And the hearing aids these days are so fantastic that you can cope in a situation like that. And lots of people say to me, isn't it too loud for you? And no, it's not, because the hearing aids cope with it.
Exactly.
And as I say, to me, it's just been the most wonderful thing I've ever done, and I would wholeheartedly encourage more and more people to do it, because it's just given me a new lease of life.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you very much.
Okay.